Hey everyone, Random Randy here. This is Vlogust day 11, so it is August 11th, 2017, and this is going to be a little bit of a different video than usual. As you can tell from the clock on the wall behind me, it is 10 o'clock, and that is 10 o'clock p.m., not a.m. My husband is out camping by himself, having a wilderness retreat of sorts, and my kids are obviously asleep. Thank God. So I have been wanting to talk about this weirdness for quite some time now, and now I have the opportunity to do so. But first I want to comment on the fact that this lighting is absolutely flipping amazing. This is just one of the lights that came in the 3-light kit that I got for $50, and I'm going to leave a link to that down in the description box below if anybody else is looking for really cheap lighting, because seriously, I have no other lights on in the living room right now, and this thing is making it look like noon halfway into the kitchen. Super, super awesome. But anyway, getting on with it. So this vlog is going to be about why I haven't really been writing for quite some time now. Aside from the obvious reasons, those being, well, I have 2 kids now, ages nearly 5 and nearly 3, which, you know, takes a lot of energy and a lot of time. And you don't really have a lot of time to sit and be still and get your head in the right space to be able to write. But there's also a few other reasons, primarily the fact, well, I guess I can't really say fact, but my theory about some things that have been going on. So first I'm going to give you the what rather than my take on the why, because it's kind of complicated and it's going to get a little bit woo, and if you don't know what woo is pseudoscience, new agey. If you are of one strict faith, you're probably going to think this is all just a big crock of crap, and that's totally fine. You can believe what you want to believe, and I will believe what I believe. And this really weird, almost metaphysical stuff is definitely out there as far as weird goes. And I'm going to try not to move around too much, but I am recording this on my laptop, in my lap. So apologies if you get kind of motion sick occasionally, because this might take me a little while to explain, and I am human and do kind of have to move and stretch once in a while. There are 2 shows that are essentially the reason that I decided to at least temporarily throw in the towel on writing. The first of those being the show Supernatural. It's a very popular show. I love watching the show, although about halfway through this season in question, I pretty much quit watching it and haven't been able to pick it back up yet, but I'm hoping to sometime in the near future. So, season 11 of Supernatural. If you know anything about the show, I'm just going to give you little base points, so hopefully I'm not ruining anything for anybody, but I think it's that they've already done season 12 even on TV, so if you watched it all, it's not like I'm spoiling anything. Regardless. So, in season 11 of Supernatural, the Winchesters and the universe at large come up against a force, which is the darkness. And we are talking in the beginning, before God created light, there was nothing but darkness. This darkness in this season of Supernatural takes on a human form. And the character's name is Amara. But she is essentially the embodiment of this primordial darkness. And there are a few other things about the character that I guess could potentially ruin things, so I'm not gonna say anything about that in case anybody hasn't seen it. This character, you know, the writers of Supernatural came up with this character that is a physical being that contains all of the power of this primordial darkness. And in my series, The Ragnarok Legacy, which I just re-released the first book of, I have a character that has some similar qualities, but in a slightly different way. And I can't really name him, although I will tell you that it's a him, because it would spoil things, and you're not going to really be finding out who he is until 2 books from the one that's already out now. So yeah, there's a long-winded backstory that's going to be popping up in the 3rd book, because the 2nd book is kind of a half book, but I'm going to consider the full 2nd novel to be book 3. Just makes it easier than calling the one in between 1.5. This isn't Disney. This isn't Lion King 1.5. So there's that. So there's one reason. Supernatural season 11 and Amara being the physical embodiment of the darkness. Second reason, second show, that is one of the many reasons that I kind of threw in the towel on writing, because it was just too many weird coincidences all at once. Sense8, which is a Netflix original series, which is so amazing and mind-blowing, it will just totally knock your socks off. Unfortunately, tragically, the series has now been canceled after season 2 aired, and they were just finally getting to really exciting things. Netflix is totally just breaking my balls in that regard, because the show is amazing. Anyway, in the show, Sense8s are people who are linked telepathically to 7 other people in their cluster who were all born on the same day, I believe also at the same time, in various different parts of the world. So that sums up what a Sense8 is. In my series, The Ragnarok Legacy, I have a similar class of characters which I called 3rd degree shifters. And essentially their bodies are in constant flux, and it takes immense, intense training and tons of focus for them to be able to hold one physical shape for any length of time. In line with the Sense8 thing, there are several of them. I didn't quite figure out a number yet, but now I know I'm definitely not going to pick 8 in total. There are several of them that were born around the world at the same time on the same day, and they are all considered to be part of the same brood. They are very rare, and they are considered by all other supernatural species to be extremely dangerous. Here's where the woo part comes in. So, if you are a person of any sort of faith where this kind of talk will lead you to leave comments about anything in line with this being satanic, you're probably going to want to quit right now. If you are somebody who has very shaky faith and something like this is totally going to destroy you and your vision of religion and the cosmology of all existence at large, you probably shouldn't watch beyond this point, because it's going to get kind of weird and a little bit deep, and a whole lot of pseudoscience is going to be getting thrown around. So just buckle up, bear with me. This is how I view what happened and why now that that season of Supernatural is over and now Sense8 has been canceled, now I can start writing again. So, the Akashic Records. This is a pseudoscience concept wherein there is an, I don't know if you want to say alternate dimension, but it is definitely an extra dimensional plane where all human events, thoughts, words, emotions, and intent from the past, the present, and the future, all potential events across all dimensions, are coalesced into one area that some people believe you can tap into, whether consciously or subconsciously. A lot of people believe that psychics can tap into these particular things. People who are clairvoyant may be able to more easily access the Akashic records. People who claim to be clairvoyant but get things tragically wrong could still be accessing the Akashic records but are tuned into the wrong dimensions events for the future or past, for that matter. It might not be that they're fake, it might be that they're just tuned into the wrong frequency. So, in line with the all dimensions, think about it this way before your brain explodes. Everything you do in life, every choice that you make, if you had made the other choice, in theory, another dimension exists with the path of events that would have occurred had you made the other choice. Say, for example, you come across a homeless man on the street and you are faced with the decision of, do I give this man a few dollars to get a meal, or do I just ignore him and pretend he doesn't exist? So if you give him the money or the food, obviously you go off down one path. But the fact that the choice even existed to do the other, that universe or dimension, parallel universe, whatever you want to call it, would still exist with all of the events that would have transpired based upon that decision. So, in theory, we're looking at infinite parallel universes with so many things all happening at the same time that are not the same thing. So, this is where you come into other fun areas of pseudoscience, such as the Mandela effect. If you're not familiar with the Mandela effect, that will give you things like, from my childhood in particular, this is one that just totally messes me up. People call it misremembering or false memories, where you are 99% certain that something was one way, but in reality now it is another way, and many people have allegedly documented dates where these things have changed from the false memory that so many people have to what is now considered to be the truth. Things like with the Bernstein Bears, the spelling that I'm pretty sure was the proper spelling when I was a kid, which is Bernstein, E-I-N, as opposed to what's, I guess, the right spelling now, which is Bernstein, A-I-N. And going back and looking at all of my Bernstein Bears books from when I was a kid, and seeing that the spelling is A on them really kind of messed me up a little. Another fun example of the Mandela effect is, if you've ever seen Silence of the Lambs, you're probably familiar with the very popularly quoted line from when Hannibal Lecter first meets Clarice. And he says to her in his creepy little Anthony Hopkins voice, "Hello, Clarice." Well, apparently, he never actually said that, which is ridiculous because why would so many people quote that if it never actually happened? But the actual line from the movie now is simply, "Good morning." Doesn't quite have the same creep factor effect, does it? No, it does not. And yes, Randy has notes, y'all. So you know that this was about to get heavy because I have almost 2 pages of notes. What exactly does this crazy woo have to do with why I haven't been writing? Because it sounds like a bunch of ridiculous excuses, doesn't it? Well, it kind of does sound like ridiculous excuses. But when I write, I actually put dates on the header of my chapter. I put the date when I start it, and I put the date when I finish it. Sometimes that's the same date, sometimes it takes me a month, sometimes I have year-long gaps in my writing, which is so bad. That's when you have to go back through and edit the shit out of everything. But anyway, the dates on my chapters when I introduced these particular characters, based upon knowing what I know about how long it takes to produce television shows and how long it takes for screenplay editing and all of that jazz, I came up with these ideas around the same time that the writers of Supernatural and Sense8 were coming up with the darkness and the concept of a Sense8. I'm not trying to be an edgelord here and be like, oh, I came up with this idea before it was cool. Yeah. Oh. I'm obviously not even remotely famous enough for these significantly famous people to have copied me, but it's really weird that we had these ideas around the same time. And when they were released, when both of the shows were released in season 11 of Supernatural and both of the seasons for Sense8, it made me kind of stop and go, wait, what? I had that idea like a year ago and started writing it down. And my husband was pretty much like, oh yeah, bullshit, whatever, ha ha ha. I'm like, no, seriously, look at these dates. Think about how long it takes to produce a TV show. Kind of weird. He doesn't believe in anything, though. He's total non-theist, non-believer. Shun the non-believers, shun! So I really feel like I was tapped into the universal consciousness at the same time that these other writers were. And I know that's really weird, and I know that's really heavy. It's just a strange friggin' thing to think about. And I'm a very open person when it comes to spirituality. If somebody were to give me irrefutable proof tomorrow that God as he exists in Christian canon was the only metaphysical, ultimate divine being that existed, if someone were to give me proof, I'd say, okay, cool. But what's to say that there aren't also these other things? Because other people have experienced these things. Just because you haven't experienced something personally doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I believe that in some way, shape, or form, all metaphysical deities that people worship exist. Putting faith and belief into something gives it power. Putting energy towards something gives it power. That's where all of these New Agers with their law of attraction extensive talks come from. You put energy into something, it gives it power. It can make it happen. It can manifest things. Now, am I saying if you think really, really hard, I want $1 million, that you're going to have $1 million tomorrow? No. But if you make that a primary focus and you start taking other steps in your life towards it, it can be argued that the power of your thinking led you to having that amount of money. So really, what all of this boils down to is, now that Sense8 has been canceled, I feel like I can actually get back to writing this series. And now that that season of Supernatural is over, I also feel like I can move forward with this character being a more primary focus like I was intending to have him be. And it's just really something that I've been thinking about a lot. That there are just really so many possibilities and so many things that we don't understand. And just because we don't understand it yet and we don't have physical, irrefutable, scientific proof of something doesn't mean that it can't exist. As far as personal experiences go, if you were to say that personal experience is the only indicator of whether something is true or not, I have never seen a volcano in person. I have never seen a whale in person. I have never seen the state of California in person. Does that mean that volcanoes and whales and the state of California don't exist? Because I've never experienced them, so it must be some sort of conspiracy of the rest of the world at large that these things exist, because I've never experienced or witnessed them. Therefore, they must not be true, right? Probably not. Pretty sure enough other people have seen it happen that just because I haven't, that doesn't make it untrue. So anyway, I have had enough of a woo ramble, and I've been talking for about 20 minutes now. Hopefully I can squish it down a little bit in editing. And since my husband is gone and my kids are asleep, I'm going to watch some horrible, horrible movies and television, and I'm going to eat a whole pint of ice cream because I am an adult and I am allowed to do that on occasion. So I hope you guys all had a good day, and I hope you're all looking as forward to the weekend as I am. Not that it matters, because the weekend to a stay-at-home mom is just another day. But yeah. So thanks so much for watching, everybody, if you managed to make it to the end. And I will catch you all tomorrow for another Vlogust, and hopefully either tomorrow or Saturday, another yarn talk to show off the cool stuff that I've been working on all week. So thanks so much for watching, everybody, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.